Now, to my friend Peggy Hubbard. Peggy, I see the Post-Dispatch reporting today that the city is cordoning off the Confederate monument to make sure, I guess, that there's no more vandalism, or to keep maybe if they put a fence around it, it won't offend people so much. What do you think?
I'm laughing as we speak. I don't understand this woman's logic to save my life. I can say honestly, this is going to be a one-term mayor. I can say that with a straight face because it's going to happen. You know, there are other Confederate statues that are in the park. So now she wants to have a public meeting tomorrow at 6:30 at City Hall, and she wants to try to get taxpayers to flip the bill to take down the statue when we had in 5 days, we had over 20 homicides. And her town hall meeting is to cover a freaking monument. Are you kidding me?
No. The priority level out of City Hall right now is unbelievable. Why this is a priority with everything else they're facing is a mystery to me, and it's got to be a mystery to everyone else. Let me talk about your rally for a minute. The crazies turned out as we expected. Describe for me in your own words how that went. Did you end up getting physically assaulted down there?
Yeah, I had a guy push me in the chest. I had a woman push me in my back while I was walking away. She pushed me. I was met with physical violence. I was told that I was going to be murdered. I was told that they were going to come to my house and kill me, with the St. Louis sergeant standing there while they were threatening to come to my house and kill me. And when I walked back towards them and said, what was that you said? Are you threatening my family? He stops me and goes off on me, and he allows them, and I put it on my Facebook page, Mark. These people, after I shut down the rally a couple of hours early because I saw it was kind of getting out of hand, because they kept accosting all the guests and everybody that came to have a good time. So I said, you know what, for the all sake of everybody's safety, I'm going to go ahead and listen to the captain and go ahead and do it. So I did it. I shut it down a couple of hours early. That wasn't enough for these people. I put it on Facebook, on my page. They came over to the tent after we broke down all the food tents, after we broke down the PA system and the games and everything that we had. We took down the flags. We were sitting under that tent. They allowed, and I'm very, very shocked and saddened by the St. Louis Police Department. For the most part, they did a good job. All these officers did. They did. But you have a few officers that are just jerks. And this one sergeant let them come over to the tent where all my volunteers were sitting, and it was maybe about 20 of us. He allowed them to come over, threaten me with violence, threaten to come to my home and kill me. They called me a coon. They called me a nigger. They called me a bootlicker. And he stood there and laughed while they called me names.
Maybe people don't realize this, maybe the most surprising part of that for me is that you're the wife of a police officer. I'm shocked that, first of all, that the guy might not have known that, but still.
Oh, he knew. He knew. He knew. He knew who I was, and he knew who my husband was. He knew. And he allowed them to stand there, and I got it all on tape, and I placed it on my Facebook page. These women, and I'm hard-pressed to call them women. My kids, my daughters, they call them girl-rillas. These girl-rillas, they were calling me every name you can possibly imagine. Coon. Everything.
Watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, this was coming from my own people. And I posed a question to them, Mark. And I posed a question to the Black Lives Matter people. And I told them, all these homicides that are taking place, why are you guys here? Why are you here? Why aren't you at City Hall protesting the mayor and demanding action that something be done with all the lives that are lost? A 6-year-old girl was killed, shot in the head. And the mayor's tweet that day, that little girl dying, you know, with the mayor Cruzen, what she tweeted that day upon that little girl's death? You would not believe it.
What was it?
She said that she stands by Paris on the climate accord.
Yeah, she's going to save children all over the world, but not here in St. Louis, apparently.
Exactly. Not until I did a video that day putting her down about it. Not until then, 5 hours later, then she holds a press conference saying how outraged she was. Lady, it's a little bit too late. It's 20 bodies too late to be outraged.
Yeah. It looks like they're going to move this memorial. I don't know where they're going to move it to. I think it's a shame. Now that somebody's drawn to their attention the fact that there are other statues, I'm sure they'll be looking to move those next. You know, we had Alderwoman Sharon Tyus on the show Monday when I wasn't here, but she told Chris Arps that she didn't want the thing buried or destroyed. She wanted it moved to, I don't know, the art museum or the history museum or somewhere like that in a more historical context than out in the middle of the park.
Well, you got other statues. You've got the Union statues. They're not touching them. They're not touching those.
Well, they agree with it. I mean, that's the thing about
they want to remove.
That's the thing about the left. I mean, I know this isn't totally a left-right issue, but they're tolerant as long as you agree with them. But if you don't agree with, so they agree. Apparently they're okay with only half of what happened in that part of our history, and that's fine. But you can't go back and take today's values in hindsight 150 years or 160 years and decide that when these people put this up 100 years ago, they had no good reason for doing it. I just don't understand.
My thing is, here we are. They were in the park talking about what white people did to us, and then statue needs to go, and what white people did to us, and this and that and the other, where Black Lives Matter in New York this past Memorial Day weekend had a black-only barbecue for black people only. If white people showed up, their so-called white supporters showed up, they were met with verbal abuse and sent away. But yet these people out here in Forest Park who are white, that are standing behind Black Lives Matter, they're not even valued as members. They're just valued as donors, where they're segregating their own so-called supporters.
Well, it's
so
certainly,
what does that tell you about them?
It's redirected anger at this monument that, it wasn't even brought up before the Ferguson situation happened, and for now, some reason, it's got to go. My question has always been, and I think you and I talked about it when you were in the studio a week ago, is the day after that monument's gone, how has your life changed is what I want to say to people who want this thing gone. The day it's not standing there anymore, how is your life any better because that's not standing there?
Exactly. And like I told one little girl, one little black radical there, I said, let me tell you something. I said, you guys keep saying white people this, white people that. I said, but understand this. We are now in 2017. I haven't met a white person yet that owned a slave. I never picked any cotton. And the closest thing I came to picking cotton was at Walgreens, or picking cotton out of an aspirin bottle. So let's put down the plantation stuff.
Peggy, listen, I appreciate you joining me, giving me an update on this. Again, you say there's a meeting tomorrow evening at 6?
It's a meeting tomorrow at 6 at City Hall regarding this monument being moved. And my thing is, if St. Louis really wants their voice heard and their citizens really want to be heard, then they need to get their little backsides down to City Hall and make their voices heard and let this mayor know that we have bigger issues and problems in the city of St. Louis, and 20 bodies is that proof.
Yeah, that's a great point.
We need to put it there. We need to figure out a way to stop these killings. That is marble. That is not nowhere near important than the lives and the marble we're putting up as headstones for these dead people. That is sad.
It's a great point. Peggy Hubbard, encourage people to follow Peggy on Facebook unless she ends up in Facebook jail again. But you do that every once in a while, don't you?
I do that quite a bit. I'm an equal offender person.
That's funny.
Across the board.
Hey, Peggy, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
You have a great day. Keep